So when you're looking at the start of the app, short-term bull, long-term bull, short-term bear, long-term bear. I was actually talking to someone, and it's super interesting because like I was actually just like, oh, maybe it's not obvious. Like some people were like, I'm following the model portfolio. Like, what's the way to do it? And actually, like the best way to see like what my favorite picks are at any given time is going in these. If you want to ask me like, hey, like what are your favorite short-term bulls? It's probably going to be this list, this short-term bull list. And I'll tell you like kind of how I look at it. Like, I look at this as like obviously, oh my God, Meta lost its upside breakout title. It is at 97. I wonder we'll go to see who's at the top now, but that's very interesting. I'm interested to see who it is. So like, Meta, I want to look, what I'm looking for here, and we have it like literally listed, is like high upside, low downside, high profitability, but also like in anything, I want high net option sentiment. So I'm kind of just scanning like Google for that reason. Netflix is next. Like, I don't like that as much because like the upside's at 60. That's not as much. Like Alibaba, same kind of thing, lower upside. Like, I don't really like China, as I've said, I'm not really like Microsoft, same kind of problem. It's very high on because it has high net options and net social, but 61 is lower than I'm looking for. PH, I like because like that's I believe that's an industrial. So like yeah, like that's a great net options net social. I would leave these feeling good about that. Similarly, Vertex Pharmaceuticals because it has that high upside breakout, high profitability. FedEx is a good example of something at a 52 upside. No matter how good the short term signals are, I don't really touch that. And then similarly, like Walmart, that's very interesting. High net option sentiment, not high net social sentiment, high net institutional flow, but not really anything I like with a net option sentiment at 53. I generally like wouldn't don't touch stocks unless they have net option sentiment above 60. Long, short, whatever. Okay, now I'm moving to long. Meta still at the top. Like Meta, like Booking for the similar reasons because it has like this is reverse. Because now we're looking at long term, right? So all of the long term are going to have high upside, low downside, high profitability. So now I'm looking kind of on the other side if the option sentiment is a match. So Booking and Melly, I don't love their sectors, and this is why it's again really important to read the newsletter because you know that I don't like the sectors for Melly and Booking now. Um, so like SNPS up there, really like that. Would like to see a higher net option sentiment. But looking good. Cigna, obviously, we really like it. That net option sentiment of 75 is pretty high for a healthcare stock. And this is the kind of thing that it's just like, unfortunately, there's just no substitute to like learning these kinds of things on your own. Like I'm giving you the general, like Arch Resources is a good one, like high net options at 87. TDG I've added a couple times. But like, yeah, as I'm saying, some of the stuff you do just kind of have to learn um how it situates. And like I'm saying, like, yeah, like Cigna at 76, that's a good net option sentiment for a healthcare company. Then on the short term, very similar things like iRobot looks like a good one, FRHC looks like a good one. When you start to get into like DEI and ADC, that's when like I start to be like, again, like net options of like 37, 39. Oh, Blackstone went above. We saw a live update. Perfect. Like net option sentiment of 37. That's pretty high for a real estate stock where I like them because you can see it a lot lower. 39 is also like good. LPL I like pretty well. That rhymed nicely just because like that's actually again like running. We can come and take a look, and we haven't really done this yet. Oh, actually, I guess I don't. And people can see the graphs are. This is like why it's good to click in. Like I thought it was running pretty high, low, but if you see, we're seeing kind of like higher lows versus early in this graph. So I changed my mind. I don't like LPL on a short based on like what I'm kind of seeing on this, elevated, um, elevated uh net option sentiment in terms of lows. Um, but let's see if we can find a good trend. Like, yeah, I'm actually going to probably go add ESGR at least to the model portfolio in a second because you're kind of looking at the opposite there on the net option sentiment trend. An excellent downward trend on net option sentiment. So, like, yeah, I'll probably move on that pretty soon. And we are seeing like a general uptrend, an upside breakout, a general downtrend. So that's like a slam dunk. I might even add that to the investing letter as a short, but we'll see. Uh, all right, that's short-term bear. And I think the takeaway here is like, yeah, like I think on either long-term, on either short-term bull or long short-term bear, you definitely want to see the trend on net option sentiment. And maybe I'll like look at a few of these so we can kind of talk about what I would view as a good and bad trend. And like this, I would actually call like a medium bad trend for PH. And I'll tell you why. You see like more stable net option sentiment like here, like basically like a low of 60. But now you see it bottoming out at 29, at like 31. At the very least, it's more volatile. So this, like I just said, I kind of like PH. I changed my mind. I looked at like net option sentiment. I don't like that net option sentiment trend. Um, but on the flip side, this is great. We're finding easier examples. I like we should check 71 right now. I like this vertex, not option sentiment trend, because you see like this low of the opposite. Low of 65, low of 67, low of 60. Then we have this low of 63. And then we have like kind of a low of 70 yesterday and back up to 71 or 70 this morning, right? So that's like the opposite. Like, and you see a lot of these different kinds of graphs. But it's super important, you know. Then long-term bull, like one of the things I want to, or sorry, long-term bear. One of the things that I look at, like, yeah, that tends to be higher short pressure than I really like. I kind, but like it might be a good time to short beyond. I'm actually going to look at that a little more. I'm going to look at the technicals um when I do this because, like, yeah, like beyond can be a very attractive short, but it can turn around quickly. Um, Looking at SLS, this one we're looking at this. Um, then yeah, I mean, we've got net option sentiment, but one of the things is like this isn't actually too helpful because it's like performing within a narrow channel. Um, let's see, milestone we've like had and dropped like I actually don't like this trend is like a good example of like on milestone on net option sentiment heading. Like I do like the upside breakout is going down. You see it going down from 25 to 21. But again, when I look at those ranges and we're talking about missed milestone, like I like to see like a larger range, like when we looked at some other ones. Let's look at a good one. I think we just added Wish. Let's see that. Yeah. Wish is definitely one that I'm seeing a good trend on that option sentiment. Because look, we were seeing a high of 71 a little while ago, Wish, but now January 11th, the last high, that was 58, and we're sitting at 45 now. So that is an example of a really good trend for a net option sentiment on Wish. So that's kind of how I look and qualify. And just to, like, wrap this up again, um, what I like to see on those is like, especially like a good trend on the metrics in addition to objectively good metrics. And then you want to situate for the sector also. Just get to know kind of like what it runs for on that. But like, yeah, what I'm basically saying is the nice thing is if you ever want like to know what my ideas, like what I think the best and worst ideas are for the market, that's what these sections are for. I'd start right there. Like there is some nuance beyond that. Um, but let's go into a couple other things. The screener I'll start at quickly. We're actually going to start having push notifications on the screener. I do have to update it. I'm not that like good at doing that part yet, and I do want to change it to a bear screener. I probably will do that at some point today. Um, and so yeah, I think that that feature is going to be something that I'm going to try to keep more up on. But that's a really good way of basically seeing like both like what you can't tell when you look at our picks is what my market view is. But screener will like obviously like I've held this since 12/15 this screener. So like that is a pretty bullish market view that I've had and like pretty correct since then. But I'm about to reevaluate that a little bit, probably today, right? So the only other thing that I think is important to stop at is like, these browse by stock signals, right? So I'm going to look at upside breakout because I actually was curious. Upside breakouts back to 100 on Meta, and I do like to get ideas like this as well, where I'm on highest upside breakout, where I'm just looking at like Meta, Tesla, ANET, Arista Networks. It didn't make our long-term bull or bear, probably because its profitability is 68. But I'm looking at ANET and I kind of really like it. talk about a great trend of higher lows on that's a good thing to add. I forgot what the other one we said we were going to add was. Oh, ESGR. Um, ANET looks like a great app on the long side. And like basically what I was looking at when I was in that last screen is I was like, oh, upside breakout of 85, like pretty high in the rankings. Good, good net option sentiment of 73, a good trend of net option sentiment. Like, yeah, that's a really good example of like not being in a long-term like bulls or short-term bulls, but like finding a stock that I really liked on that list, right? ESTC is another good one. Let's check it out. Like I wasn't really aware of that, but it has a 79 upside breakout. But I don't love the net option sentiment trend because like basically what I'm seeing a high of 90, I'm seeing a high of 94 on January 5th on net option sentiment, then 96 on January 5th. So like, yeah, we're starting to see lower highs. And so I don't like that trend, right? Upside breakout is going up, downside breakout is going down. So ESTC is all right, but I don't love that, right? I'll just do a few more. I'm in upside breakout right now. Um, then, the other thing and one thing that I want to call out, and I will, is like I might look at profitability, right? And here's the other thing, and I'll scan it like this, right? I'll scan profitability and I'll say, oh, AutoZone is actually pretty good because like it's got very high profitability, but like high net options, pretty high upside breakout to match. So I'll go in and I'll just be like, yeah, I like that higher low on net option sentiment. And the other thing to just make sure everyone's aware of, we have these new help screens where if you click net option sentiment and swipe up, you can really see how you can use these signals, like more detail on how you could use these signals. Like I actually really like the new upside breakout and downside breakout ones. So like that's the way that we basically use this. I don't want to make it too long. I think we've went through everything pretty well, Stephen. Do you have any questions?
No, I think that's going to
There's
make
the
a good
learn
video.
section, obviously, which like gives you, I would say, some different longer answers than like what's in like our now like bottom sheets. Where again, to remind anyone, you kind of go in here, you click on one and you swipe up. Thanks for watching the Prospero AI tour.